Good afternoon. Today is the 13th of November, 2016, and part two in our interview with Hemant. We covered the Matrimanya solar work, and you said, what's next?
Yes.
So, what was next?
Yeah, so that next was not clear. So there was a pause at that moment to figure out what next. And it just started happening rather than a plan. It just started unfolding. So I continued doing the same thing of doing more solar water pumping systems in a better way in that. And then one day, those were the days of the fax machine. There's a fax which comes in CSR that there is a tender floated by the government of Punjab for installing 500 solar pumps in Punjab. And that was the largest ever order of solar in the country of that time. And the company whom we were working with, they were sending that fax machine, that fax to me, that would I be interested to do that in Punjab. And here I was sitting I had one table and one assistant, of a kind of an intern who just passed out of ashram school, and another half-time person working with me. And then this came, and I'm looking at that paper, and I'm looking at my colleague, that what answer we should give. And in the end, we said yes, we'll go ahead and do it. And I had no idea what I'm saying yes to. So it sort of happened. I mean, of course, this was not an order; it was just a interest that there is company wants our help to do it in Punjab, and we said yes to them. And then it took several months before this came on our table, and suddenly we were transported from Auroville to Punjab in 1999.
So, it was an actual order.
It was
from the
that
government.
the tender turned into an order.
Mm-hmm.
And the companies who participated in tender, they had to show experience of doing a certain thing, and the biggest experience in the country was us. And so they kind of said that they are partnering with us to do this tender, and then they participated and won the tender. And here we till we didn't get a confirmed order. This was just a kind of something shooting in the sky kind of a thing. But when it came, it had to be kind of from Auroville to Punjab, and then at the border of India and Pakistan, in one of the cities in Punjab, we had to set up an office. And here it was the knowledge of Auroville, the people of Auroville. We took about 50 people from the surrounding villages, Tamil people who had never ever traveled in the train, and never knew what the winter means.
Yes.
There in the fields of Punjab, from a rice eating belt to a wheat eating country. We had a little Auroville office set up in a city called Bhatinda. We were covering 5 districts and installing solar pumps in the fields of Punjabi farmers. And that when we were there, it became clear that what next, because this was something which we developed, researched, did in Auroville, and now this knowledge had to go out. And not only the knowledge, it was the ripple of Auroville also had to spread.
Yes.
Yeah. So when we were at our work, which was very hectic, very intense, we had to do it in short period of time, cover a lot, huge geography, very different from this place. Um we would talk to the government officers there, we would talk to the farmers, we would talk to their, and we were very different over there. We were not like any other person who was coming, and they were very curious, where are you coming from? And then when we would say we come from Oroville, and then tell about Oroville, and then there was kind of a huge amount of interest, and many times we had to stop work to answer Oroville questions. So that's we realized that Oroville, not only the knowledge, but there is a certain value of Oroville is spreading through our work somehow. And some of the project people who worked with us from Punjab, later on we hired people from Punjab, and our managers and all came from that area. And we brought them to Oroville for some trainings or some programs. And one of them, our main manager over there, is now settled here in Oroville. So this is how we started going out. And while we were doing Punjab, there was something open in Ladakh, a similar thing. That a company asked us that we are going to do this project of lighting up 30,000 homes in Ladakh. Government has given a contract. Can you join us to do this project? And we again said yes. So we went to Ladakh. Then the chain started rolling, and then we covered about 16 states in the country.
Now you mentioned that you took people from Tamil Nadu. For what purpose?
For installing solar pumps.
Okay. So that physical labor, actually.
Yeah, that's physical
but
labor.
Knowledge also.
Knowledge also, because and these boys over the years had trained with us doing solar energy projects
In
in Oroville. So they were quite knowledgeable in their work, and in that time it was hard. Even today it is hard to find a solar technician. And these were the boys who were trained by us, most of them school dropouts, in solar energy work. While when I joined Matthias first time, and they had already about 7-8 years of experience.
So after the Ladakh project?
Well, then it happened in Gujarat, then it happened. So we covered 16 states in the country like that. So our work started spreading. We started kind of doing these kind of systems for either for drinking water in the villages or for farmers using solar systems. So either the governments were calling us, or NGOs were calling us, or companies were calling us. And till today that is happening. I don't do it, but there is another set of team grown up out of that experience who is continuing that work till today. And they have grown even more. I mean, probably they have already covered 20. I mean, I have lost count now of states. Till I was working, it was 16. Now it would be more.
Yeah.
So then that continued. I mean, there was a lot of work and a lot of huge amount of traveling and doing stuff and dealing with complex procedures, processes. A lot of learning, a lot of sharing and knowing India, because I came to know more deeply India through this work also. And in 2010, then I had major shifts in my personal life and in the work life. And then I had to stop doing my project work.
So you came back to Oroville?
Yeah, well, then I wound up, or rather hived off the project work to the team who was doing it, who was very capable. They took it further. Now they are doing that. But then I stepped out and I wanted to do more kind of things at the national level of policies.
Oh.
So I plunged into more policy work after 2010.
I'd like to ask then, what is the state of solar energy in Oroville today?
Well, Orwell has for years has been a laboratory of doing solar energy projects within Orwell and outside. At this point, I don't have a real count of how many houses or how much we produce, because since past 5-6 years I have not been dealing on in the details of this. But almost nearly every house at a smaller level or a bigger level is harnessing solar energy for their use, either for heating water, for bathing and kitchens, or for generating electricity in their homes. For example, in most of the greenbelt communities, from very beginning, have chosen not to connect to the grid, and most of them are still not connected to the grid. So they are completely off grid. So that is one side of solar energy where you don't take any energy from the grid. But there are many other homes who take some part of energy from the grid and some from solar. And there are some buildings like town hall, like Sire building or the town hall building, that it produces solar energy and sends it back to the grid, so that whatever they are taking from the grid is offset. And so this is also in many schools like Future School and Eggenberger. The rooftop solar is also getting popular now. So I would say, if we say per capita solar energy use, Oroville will be highest per capita user of solar energy, not only in India but anywhere in the world.
What about transport?
Transport is our next challenge. I did, after 2010, also participated with Akash and Sukrit in their experiments on electrical mobility. Again, like any other project, what Akash and Sukrit were doing was very futuristic. It was 10 or 15 years ahead of its time. So there were a lot of challenges, and that was the fun of it. I like that. When it's set and going, then for me the job is done. So I did join them for a brief period of time to see how we can bring electrical mobility. But currently, I would say what stage we were in 91 on solar energy, we are at electrical mobility at this stage. In another 10 years, the electrical mobility will see a major surge.
Oh.
And I am hoping, and I was discussing with Matthias the other day, or setting up a goal that in 10 years can we make the all Oroville mobility, by 2028, all Oroville mobility electrical. So,
10 years on.
well, now it is 2016,
Yeah.
12 years. I
Right,
would say.
12 years.
Yeah, 12 years from now, 2028, we said, yes, this is the time goal which is feasible.
How have the panels improved in efficiency?
Yeah, the panels is an evolving efficiency game.
evolving,
It's a still evolving game. And the panels which we used in 1990s and the panels which are in the marketplace now, there's no major difference between them. What has happened is the cost of the solar panels have drastically come down.
But efficiency hasn't improved.
The efficiency has not improved.
I see.
In fact, the efficiency has probably degraded a bit because of the cost efficiency. There are a lot of undercutting on materials. So the reliability of solar panels of today is not as high as the reliabilities of panels which are 25 years back. But that's a market force which is acting at this point. It has nothing to do with technology.
Yes.
So one drive which the solar energy world took was to bring down the price of solar panels, and that has been very successful.
Making them
making
More
them
feasible for people.
for people. So it was, one was to create very high volume. So to create high volume, you have to create a high demand. So the governments took over that they will create the high demand before the people on the street would do. So they,
I had read something about different materials being used in the panels.
there is a whole world over there. Yeah, so it's one of the fastest or the most researched technology at this point of time. So a lot of time and effort of universities and laboratories is going in finding cheaper materials, more flexible materials, and more robust materials. So the type of materials is every few weeks there is a new announcement.
Oh my goodness. And what are you doing now?
Well, now there is a bit of a switch in my working life. I did this period of electrical mobility plunge in 2010, and then sort of went back to my solar life through the policy, and worked with through one of our associations of solar energy to work with the government, and that was very satisfying and learning experience. And then last year I was asked to join the working committee in Oroville, so which I took.
Shelley has told me a little bit. Please tell us more.
Yeah, well,
Because tell us what it is actually.
yeah. So the working committee is something which is created through the Oroville Foundation Act, and this Oroville Foundation Act has three. It's a tripod, so it has three legs: the governing board and the International Advisory Council. These are appointed by Government of India, and there is a third leg of the tripod, which is the resident assembly. And the resident assembly is all adult members of Oroville community. Now, all adult members cannot be around one table, so they choose 7 members to represent the resident assembly, which is called the working committee. So it's a rotational choice. Now it is staggered. So when the last staggering was happening in the selection process, 2 of us, me and Inge, got chosen in last year December. So now I'm part of the 7-member working committee which represents the resident assemblies.
Inga actually had an interview with us.
Yes, yeah, I believe that.
And she told us about that. And I think also Orasil talked to us about Sukrit and her work in the solar
Yeah.
field. So
Yes.
it's very interesting. All these things are coming together.
Yes.
So you're in the working committee now.
Yes, I'm in the working committee, and
And
it's mainly.
how do you feel about it?
Well, it's a very, very intense job in that sense. One is that we have to deal with a lot of things which don't get processed in the system, and then when it is unprocessed by anybody, and a difficult thing that comes on the table. The second aspect of it is to represent Oroville outside to the world or to government. So these the second part can be many times enjoyable, but the first part can be very difficult because only difficult things reach us. And most of the time we are in a situation that we don't have an immediate answer to that, and when we go through circles and cycles of finding the answers, many times it is also it's like a churning, and it's difficult, but when the churn is complete, there's something which comes out, and when the things get solved, there's an immense amount of satisfaction.
Does the group refer to Sri Aurobindo and Mother for guidance?
Well, there are certain guiding principles even we have in our room, how we should conduct ourselves in a meeting from Sri Aurobindo's values, which he has put in several of his talks or writings. So that stands as our only wall hanging. And then in practice, it is certain dynamics or values which we need to kind of build, and that's where we keep referring to it, is on higher principles and higher values. It's not necessarily the words of Mother and Sri Aurobindo, but it's the values which they have prescribed, and how we can bring it down in our practice. And when the things become very intense, either interpersonally or with outside, we have to actually go back to our, I would say, a spirit desk to see how we can solve that, how we can cultivate our intuitive intelligence to take decisions, for example. So that is, it's a practice. It doesn't come so naturally. So one has to be becoming more and more conscious about it.
How do you see the evolution of Oroville at this point?
Oroville is in one of the transition moments at this point. Transition for a good, I would say, or growing and flowering. There are a lot of, we are approaching the 50th year.
Yes.
In 2018. And the situation in the world around or world over is such that there are people who are seeking. They may not be visible, they may not be in majority, but they are certainly seekers all over.
Yes.
And with the help of whether information spreading wider through the information technology revolution, or through travel becoming easy, or through other explorative tools which have become available to the youth of the world today, I can see that spark of seeking which is expressing itself. So I really see an Oroville becoming that kind of a touchstone where the youth of the world get attracted and come stay either short or long or give their lives to Oroville dream manifestation, and then take the values and the principles and the guidance from Mother and Sri Aurobindo when they go out in contact. And this out can be like for us it happened through projects going out, or people spending some time and going out. So this is a kind of an circular movement of Oroville which I see actually growing bigger in circles.
Is the population increasing?
Well, this question, when it is asked, it is answered in terms of that how many people are on our master list. For me, that is only one part of the population, and that could be increasing slowly, or we will have probably new policies to make it increase faster. But there is the other population which is increasing very rapidly, is the people, especially young people, who want to come and experience Oroville and to spend some time, become interns, become volunteers, or do some courses. So that there is a huge increase in that. So if today we are 2,500 residents on master list, there's almost 3 times of people who come for short term. And every year about Shali and few other people did a count, and this is I'm talking 3 years back. The count was about close to 13,000 people a year, and this I'm sure today is touching 20,000. So, and this is, some have come for 1 month, some have come for 6 months, some have come for 1 year. But this is the kind of number of people which are revolving and moving out of Oroville. And I would consider that also as a number for population. So, if at any given time we have 2,500 people who are resident and maybe 4,000 to 5,000 people who are just moving through the system.
What about the government's interaction, the government's view of Oroville, collaboration, etc.?
The government of India and government of Tamil Nadu at the state level and both at the central level have been very supportive about Oroville project. And there are not many countries in the world which we would find this kind of a situation where a government system is supportive of a project like Oroville. So wherever we go in government, whether it is for Oroville work or for any other work, we get open doors. We get a huge amount of welcome and goodwill waiting for us whenever we are in these offices. So there has been a huge amount of support, nurturing, financial help, which has been coming from Government of India.
How has the internet opened to Oroville?
Well, internet has been a fantastic tool, and Oroville has been one of the early users of internet. We got emails in mid-90s when the America was getting an AOL address. And since then we have just grown up in our as a digital citizen of the world. What is happening with internet is that it's helped us uniting easily. It has created this virtual environment and a virtual human unity. So and at Oroville we realize that how powerful that medium is, and we are currently laying so that the data travels on light too. We are putting a fiber optic cable all over Oroville, which will let the light take all this information to all our homes and offices.
Is Chandresh working on that?
Yes, Chandresh is working on that, on a high-speed digital network, and we become part of the National Knowledge Network in India, which means we can access all the libraries of the country, all the classes in the universities. Wow. And the people would be able to attend live streaming courses in Oroville anywhere in the world.
This is extraordinary.
It is, yeah. It is.
You have a daughter?
Yes, I have a...
How old is she now?
Now she's 10 years old. She's going to be 10 years.
She's going to be 10 years.
Yeah.
And her name?
Her name is Sana.
Sana. And so you have to look after her too.
Yes, it's the most lovely job.
And what is she doing in Oroville?
She goes to
school?
She goes to the transition school.
Transition.
She's more busy than me. She has a very busy life of school, sports, activities. She's learning a lot of things. She's very involved in many activities.
And this was something I was talking about with the Tamil couple today, where we had lunch, and they said that music, the arts, sports are just not being taught in Indian schools, or at least in Tamil Nadu very much. But the children in Oroville are exposed to so much.
Yeah.
Give us an idea of different things that are available.
Yeah. So what has happened in past several years or several decades is the education has become utilitarian outside. It's something you have to be very practical to go through to get a good career, good job, good family, good marriage, good all that is a kind of a certificate to get through. So which means that you have to be good in maths. If you're not good in math, then or good in science or good in language, if you're bad in that, then you're considered bad. But if somebody is bad in art, it is not considered bad. So the other part, which is the creative part of a human being, is completely ignored, either ignored or suppressed. Because many kids are very creative and very want to be expressed in art forms, but then they are told no. Or many kids are more physically more active. They want to do sports and express themselves in that. And then again, they are also either held up or suppressed and go to academics or be a good mathematician. Good in math is a kind of one. I was never good in math, so that's why I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yes.
Whereas in Oroville, is the child who chooses that what they are good at. They are exposed to all the things, academics, the music, arts, the sports, very intensive sports program. Every child can choose what is good for them. And then when they excel in that, the whole system is nurturing them to go in that direction. So that's the big difference between what the utilitarian education system and a more holistic, fully developed human being as a center of education. That's what Mother and Shubindo wanted, a human development at a much higher scale. And that was, for me, actually was the first inspiration also to come to Oroville. And when I saw that, I said, here is a society which spends the most amount of their budget, out of the budget, on education and children. Till today, the highest amount we spend of the entire pie of Oroville's budget is on education and children. And this is very unusual for a society to put so much amount of emphasis and effort and energy and resources, in financial resources, in building a human capital.
What has your daughter chosen?
Well, she's experimenting. She loves sports. She loves horse riding. She loves swimming. She loves dancing. Recently, she had her first performance in Bharatanatyam. She likes gymnastics. They have a wonderful gymnastic teacher who's doing. She likes some academics. She likes her languages, and she doesn't like math like me.
But it seems so wonderful that these 10-year-olds have such an exposure.
Amazing. There is nowhere in the world which can offer that kind of a thing in such a small place.
Yeah.
And such high quality.
Yes.
Yeah, her piano teacher, her gymnastic teacher, they could be teaching. She could be in a big orchestra, or her gymnastic teacher could be in teaching Olympians in Russia. And here we have a facility here where they come and offer that.
One interview we did a few years ago with the gentleman who was working on desalination.
Mhm.
He said, I don't have to go any place in the world. I can just go to Oroville and find out what I want.
Yeah, this was the great part of my experience also when I was working in the project in solar energy. I didn't have to go out, and everything was in Oroville. There was a steel workshop, there was electrical service, there was water plumbing service, everything was there. I had just to put everything together and then go out.
Well, it's been very special today, Hemant, and I know many people will benefit from hearing what you have shared. And we look forward to so much more from Oroville because it is indeed the cradle for human unity.
Absolutely, yeah. It's been really enjoyable to share this, and if this lights up many other lamps, there can be no better happiness which can come by doing that. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Namaskar.
Namaskar.
Yes.
There is one aspect of researching, learning, using now our medium of internet to self-educate or self-learn many things. Sri Aurobindo is a vast ocean of knowledge, and it needs sometime a lifetime or lifetimes to kind of really dive into what is the depth and the breadth of that knowledge. But they, in this fast world of time, there needs to be some kind of a compressed packages or compressed capsules, where this, I call it glossary of Sri Aurobindo. There are terms which he has used which have very different meanings many times from the traditional meanings. So, for example, what is psychic being? Now, it has been used in many other traditions in many different ways. But if I get this answer, what is psychic being? Then, if there is 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes capsule on that, then that can be transmitted. Similarly, there are many other terms. Even the term what is divine. So when somebody starts researching or searching, these questions come up. And if there are answers available from many experienced people like you or like others who have been years over here, and they share that knowledge, it has a very powerful effect. And it really helps people opening up and flowering of that knowledge.
So these are basically essential general questions in the light of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother
That's right.
to be answered.
That's right.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
And the words which, what does Sri Aurobindo mean by human unity? Yeah. So what is the meaning of supramental consciousness? What is consciousness? So these are basic questions, very fundamental questions, which somebody who has not read or not experienced, for them it becomes, if there is a very clear answer in a very short video which is available, and if I'm able to go and just, or I find somebody and I can share with someone, it's a very powerful medium.
So these could be brief videos, 5, 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's it.
I see.
Yeah, it could be even 3 minutes, 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Would you just send me a list of some of the things that you feel are important?
Yeah, sure.
And we will do it.
Excellent. Yeah, I would
Yes.
look up and
even want to work with you on it.
I'm not the expert in that, but there are so many people who are there. The other thing which I'm kind of concerned about also is uh, we have a certain generation of people who worked with Mother and Sri Aurobindo. Of course, there are few left, but there are few
Yes.
still there. Now, this generation in another 10-15 years will be gone, or maximum 20 years.
Yes.
Now, uh, when they speak about something like that, uh, it's as if Mother and Sri Aurobindo are speaking out of them.
I have done almost 150 interviews with these people.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, that's
The oldest one, I think, was 92, Noran Singh. But many in their 80s, approaching 90.
Yeah, yeah.
I've got all I could get so far, and I've just been told about 2 people who have agreed, and one lady had seen Sri Aurobindo 100 times.
Wow.
So
That is
it
excellent.
is happening, and
Yeah.
I thank you for mentioning it. It was the foremost aspiration that started my work in these interviews. Was first to get the early years of the ashram
Yeah.
and those disciples, and then to expand into disciples and devotees, and also to Aurobidians.
No, there is a wonderful work which is happening. It's a knowledge for the future which you are collecting. There are knowledge like with Richard on flowers, with you on plants and flowers. There is so much of knowledge which is sitting over there, and this needs to be shared.
Good. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.